I have really enjoyed these weekly calls, and I think primarily because of the format for me, I really appreciate discussion and conversation. And there's so much content being put out there in terms of formal webinars where you can kind of sit and watch, but there's not a lot of engagement. And it's hard too to be able to just ask the questions that you want to ask and get answers from several different people, not just the person that's maybe an authority on the subject. And there's a time and a place for that format too. I just wanted to do something different, and I'm so grateful, and just wanted to mention at the beginning of everyone's engagement and each week hopping on and how we're able to share knowledge. We don't have all of the answers, and things are changing every day. Like we talked about, a few weeks ago, financials, and tried to break down the payroll protection versus the EDIL loans, and even since then, things have changed in what's happening with PPP and EIDL. So I appreciate this just consistent check-in as the world is changing and we're adjusting our businesses to try to change along with it, but always sort of preparing for, what's to come after this. So as always, I just think it's, I love the compliment sandwich, optimism sandwich, positive bookends, however you want to title it. So I want to start with the positive perspective like we always do. I mean, there's just so much going on all day, every day, and messages that can be down and negative and bad things. And there were only a couple of us on the call. So I thought, Jeff, you might want to share your just good news too, like of how things are flowing within your sector. So I think that's can be encouraging for everybody else. So anybody and everybody jump in. What's something good or a bright spot that's happened over the last couple weeks? Jeff, you want to kick us off with your sharing?
Sure. Social Security is nearly fully operational. They are continuing to have hearings via telephone conference. It's an option, which so far the 5 clients that I had hearings scheduled for all wanted to avail themselves of. So that is going good. They are still issuing decisions. And since I pick up the mail, I know they're issuing decisions because I have to open the mail and scan it. So my staff who's working virtually can put it in the system and do our thing with it. VA is doing virtual hearings. They're doing hearings with the Board of Veterans Appeals in Washington, D.C., and they had been doing video hearings for a long time. So from my perspective, it's not that much different. It's just in a different location, but they too are issuing decisions. Importantly, both organizations are issuing checks to clients, and even more importantly, both organizations are issuing checks to me.
Yay.
How's that for positivity?
That's awesome. I actually got 2 checks today from clients too. Yes.
Wow.
A good day. I know, right? Anybody else? Positive things? Something to share, personal or professional?
This is Kim. I held my first arbitration on Monday. I was the arbitrator. I had lawyers on both sides from different parts of the country. We had witnesses, probably 5 witnesses maybe.
Wow.
And we did it all by Zoom. It was a full day. It was a long day. By the end of it, I was exhausted, but it worked great. I mean, I was really excited, and again, this was lawyers from around the country. So the fact that we were able to do it by Zoom saved everybody a lot of money. So that was my first. I've done plenty of Zoom calls, plenty of Zoom mediations, but I also work as an arbitrator, and this was my first arbitration. And then I have a second one this afternoon, which is why I'm dressed very much like an arbitrator. And I hope the second one will go as well as the first one.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I will say in the back of my mind, I was wondering, why is Kim so fancy today?
Here, did you see my flowers? Because apparently a big thing people are doing is looking at your background. So I have some fresh flowers. You see them?
Nice. Yes. Nice. I love it. That's great news. That's awesome. I really think it's amazing how while a global event is what has precipitated, how we're doing business today. Like we talked about last week, how do we use 2020 hindsight, to cast our 2020 vision for the rest of the year? I think there are some things that are just going to stick and be a lot more efficient And I'm grateful for that, especially in industries in which we really needed innovation, we really needed change. So I'm glad to hear it's going well, because if it were a disaster, we'd probably, go backwards in terms of maturity and sophistication and not perfection, right? We still have to work through the kinks and that sort of thing. So thanks for sharing that. Anybody else?
I'll brag on Ramona for a minute. Sorry. So our firm, and I say Ramona, but also Jamie, launched 100 Wills for Goodwill this week, where we're offering people in Southeast Missouri the opportunity to have their will drafted for free. Because everyone seems to be really focused on that right now, or at least I'm seeing a lot of it. But then you also have the area that we're in Southeast Missouri, where people are poor, people are afraid of lawyers, people don't want to spend the money on that sort of thing. And so we figured we could offer up some peace of mind at no charge to folks. And so it was a great idea that Jamie came up with to help us, kind of live out our mission during this time. And then I usually manage all the projects at our firm, but I just handed it off to Ramona, and she has just worked with Matt and Jamie, and it's launched and out there, and people are signing up, and so it's exciting.
That's awesome.
Excuse me, Jamie, can I ask Sarah a quick question?
Yeah.
Sarah, how much are your wills? Because I've had a lot of clients asking about that. Can you pop your number in the chat and I can give you a call later?
Sure. I mean, we're doing 100 of them right now for free. We're not charging.
I know, but when it's a cost, how much is it?
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'll pop it in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
That's awesome. And really, I think what's neat, I attended just several collaborations lately where we've been talking about how it's easy to get caught in a scarcity mindset of, well, this is what I do, and now I can't do that. So what do I do now? And as we were talking with Marley Law Partners about, okay, we have capacity, lawyers have capacity, paralegals have capacity, and our mission is helping good people through hard times. So if we have capacity and we know we can't be earning money with some of that capacity, well, what could we do instead of just sitting around? We're like, we know, let's just keep people busy. Let's keep them doing something that's, also serving up the mission. So it came out of that conversation. So I think that was a really creative way of, figuring out how can we give back within our wheelhouse, but keep our name out there too, and do some good for society. So.
And keeps us connecting with people.
That too. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm tired of not connecting with anyone other than her.
That's awesome. Anybody else want to jump in and share before we move on?
Well, yeah, I guess I'll share.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I actually have been able to transition over my programs. And right now, wellness is needed more than ever, as far as from stress, anxiety, loneliness. There is just so many different emotions people are feeling. And I'm happy to say last week, I impacted over 3,500 people virtually. I was never able to do that the way, going into corporations or working, with executive teams. So that's really exciting for me. It shows that there's just a new way of doing business. I was in California, Houston, in 5 different states in one presentation. So that's awesome.
That is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cool. Really, really cool. That's awesome. All right. Anybody else? I don't want to move on too quickly if there's anybody else that wanted to share, because we have time. All right. Well, we will just keep going then. So we wanted to focus today, I like the idea of us having a structure to focus our conversation, because we could be all over the place all the time. But at the same time, keeping it open too, because, we're going through different things at different times. And I think that's the beauty of a collaboration. is something that someone else has already been through. They can then offer some advice, or if you're going through it right now, you can kind of get it off your mind and chat through ideas or opportunities. So this week, I don't want to put us in a too, strong of a box, but we're focusing on that client connection. And in a world now that we are, entirely virtual for the most part, and using technology even more so than we did before, even in very tech forward businesses, we're using tech even more than we ever have. So how can we, in a world in which statistics show us that in-person communication is the best communication, how can we keep that client connection and keep those meaningful connections moving forward, even over tech? So I'd like this conversation to, I don't want everyone to feel like, oh, I have this bright solution I want to share with everyone. I want this to be both that I'm struggling with the client connection and here's why, along with, hey, here are some successes that I've had in client connections and client communication, and here's why. Or, you know what? I was struggling, just rolled out something new, and I have no idea if it's going to work or not, but maybe it's helpful for others. So just keeping this conversation, I think, fluid is really important because everyone's probably in a different place of whether they're struggling or found some success or they're still trying to figure it out. So anyone that wants to jump in to start, is there anyone that's been struggling with client connection, anyone that has ideas? And it's kind of a free flow topic here for the next 20, 30 minutes or so.
Well, I'll start. I've heard some great ideas that I wanted to share what others are doing to stay connected with their clients. One was the local wine merchant. Apparently, one individual I know has sent to their clients wine baskets now to select clients. And then the next day, the wine merchant will get on and that individual who was recipient of the wine basket can learn about the wines that were in the basket through the wine merchant. So I thought that was a great idea. I wish I could say it was my idea. It wasn't, but I think that's a great idea. Another one, somebody said that there's a place and I'm sure there's a lot of places like this. I think it's called the Baked Bear in the Loop area. And they found out that I guess their client, that this individual was on the call, so that their vendor found out that they liked cookies and ice cream, and so they had a package where they delivered to her house, and she said that was a nice touch. And then obviously people are sending electronic cards. So I think those are things we should be doing always, not just during the holidays, but especially now. I think those were some good ideas.
Oh yeah, booze are always a good idea. And the LBO team said, woo woo. I sent my team all like little care packages over the last couple of weeks. And then after I realized, like at one point I took a step back and I was like, I just sent booze to like everyone on my team. It's like the way to someone's heart.
Jamie, I'm actually out. If you could re-up that package, that'd be
You're
great.
out already?
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not out. I still have the whole case. I don't know what y'all have been doing in quarantine.
That's a great idea, Chris. Thanks for sure. I like that. Like the idea of like, it's not just even sending the wine, but it's like educational and kind of fun and connecting too, not just, oh, go like drink on your own or with your family. I like that. That's a really good idea. Anybody else?
Jamie, I'll share if that's helpful.
Yeah.
So, we've been doing the typical digital communication with our clients when we have something meaningful and substantive to share. But some of you may not know, at Stock Legal, our clients are primarily small to medium-sized businesses. And so they're the group of people who are really, truly affected by this global pandemic, or at least so many of them are. And so in thinking about how best to support them during this time, I made the decision to take 4 days and offer up over 4 days 15-minute phone calls with me pro bono to talk about anything, remote schooling your kids, the CARES Act, the Families First Act, employee issues that people are having, and the unexpected consequence, I think, of that in-person or personal connection, as in-person as we can get right now, is that everyone was just so grateful, I think, to have someone reach out in a way that really fostered connection and community. Because what I'm finding right now is that people are so desperate for connection and community, especially business owners. I mean, they feel so alone when they're running a small to medium-sized business, and maybe they're the sole owner or what have you. And so I think it was just really, it was a really great opportunity for me to reconnect with so many of our clients that I don't have a chance to talk to on a daily, weekly, monthly, or even quarterly basis. And to, allow them to really feel supported during this time. So kind of a different initiative compared to, we're all overwhelmed with digital communication right now. And so much of it is meaningful and helpful and appreciated. Don't get me wrong. But I think that in-person touch was really well received.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think too, like, it's interesting and neat that you were keeping that conversation open to not just, if you want to talk 15 minutes about legal advice, but, even if you just want to connect about homeschooling, or you're losing shit in your house with all the children and pets and things. Like, I think that's really neat because that's fostering communication, not just in a professional sense. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'll take it just one step further. Thanks, Jamie. It was really cool. I'll take it one step further. I was talking with my business coach yesterday about how to approach business development right now, because I'm the primary business developer at Stock Legal. And I'm feeling very boxed in right now because we can't have those lunches, dinners, drinks, and coffees that we all typically go to when it's time to start generating some new business. And he and I came up with a really interesting plan that looks something like reaching out to some number of centers of influence, primary referral sources for the firm over the next couple of weeks. Maybe it's 2 Zooms a day for 30 minutes. Maybe it's 5 Zooms a day for 30 minutes. And, just catching up, sharing a little bit about our business, how our businesses are being affected. And then for me to make that same offer to my best referral sources for their clients. Which I love the idea of doing that. And then we took it one step further in that if I could put together some sort of a marketing paraphernalia that was a PDF that kind of laid out what it is that we were doing at Stock Legal, and what this program, if you will, looked like, without making it too formal, without making it too salesy. That way I could share it with my referral sources and they could send it out to as many of their clients as would be appropriate. I thought that was a fabulous idea, and I know that's something that LBO could definitely help me with. So I wanted to just share that little tidbit as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great idea.
Yeah, Sarah, I think that is a great idea. One thing I'd strongly encourage, and you're going to do it anyway, make it so apparent on that, whatever that campaign is or whatever, that forward to a friend. Sometimes people hide that, and so make it so that it's almost idiot-proof, that here's how you forward to a friend.
Mm-hmm. Love that, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes you just have to say the obvious words out loud to people so that they understand. So that's a great point.
Anybody else?
So we have done a couple things. One thing we started actually before this happened was trying to schedule. So I practice family law. So trying to schedule regular calls with clients, and for lack of a better term right now, we're kind of referring to it as like keeping clients in the know. Essentially what we're doing is trying to capture 2 sets of clients. So you've got those clients in family law, especially, that call every day over every single little thing and run up their bill just insanely. And then it's not productive. It's not helpful. And then you've also got clients who never call and never ask questions and say, well, my lawyer will call me when they need me to know something, right? And so by doing this, we've set it up where we're scheduling clients for either weekly calls, bi-monthly or monthly, depending upon how I guess depending upon, I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. Yeah, how high conflict their case is.
Yeah.
So what's been really helpful with that is my clients who I've got on weekly calls now, who used to be calling me every time I uploaded something, which was like multiple times a day, are so much happier because now they know they're going to talk to me every week. They know the same day, the same time they're going to talk to me. We have a much more productive conversation because they can email me ahead of time and say, these are the things I want to talk about. Or I already know things that I want to try to address with them. Sometimes I can try to even get an answer for that ahead of time. And their bills are going down, which makes them happier clients, which makes us happier lawyers. I'm also able to, get more work done on their case. And so that's been helpful. But then also we've been able to catch those outliers who never talk to us or who never call. And then, at the end of the case, that's when you hear whatever their complaint is. And it's like, wait, we were messaging you and we were talking to you and we were reaching out to you and you never, really came back. And so we're able to check in with those folks too. And so we schedule it for, we block out an hour. And it's been really effective. And sometimes we don't use the call. Sometimes we use it for a few minutes and don't bill them for it. But it's been really effective. And then the other thing that I did once the COVID stuff hit was I actually completely copied what Sarah Stock did. But I took a spin on it that I think, Chris, you said this in one of the meetings on here, that was something about, somebody said something along the lines of make your lonely client your connected client.
Yep.
And because I do all domestic, that's really spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so I scheduled calls. I slated them for 20 minutes. Some of them ended up being an hour, but didn't charge for it. And I spoke to every single one of my clients. And some of them, we absolutely talked about their cases. Most of them, we just talked. And some of my clients in particular, and I really appreciated hearing this from you, Chris, because it really made a huge impact on some of my elderly clients who are going through a divorce and who are all alone. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up having some really great conversations about just what their lives were like before, what they did in the past, learning, one of my clients was an airline flight attendant and flew Jackie Kennedy. And so she's telling me about that. And, people are just normally kind of lonely anyway and not getting a lot of connection. And now they're really not able to get out in the world. And so it just turned out to be really uplifting for me and for them. And so that was really cool. So I have to really thank you, Chris and Sarah, for the inspiration for that, because I think that it really helped me and helped them. So
that's really cool.
Oh, I love that, Sarah. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that.
That is awesome.
Jamie, I wanted to just kind of piggyback off of that. Of course, with me being, in health and wellness, I follow statistics and I'm in a lot of calls based on that. Loneliness, stress, just the behavior that people are experiencing, having to transition from office to home is having a really big impact on mobility, people's ability to move around. And what everyone is saying is very important. I even incorporated 15-minute calls, and sometimes they go longer because people do want to talk and feel connected. So that really is important. And I also just our own mental health, because as entrepreneurs, I know a lot of people are really driven, trying to get new business, figuring it out. And it's tough right now for some people in their industry. So just keeping a really good mental mindset and having someone you can be able to purge that information or, that feeling with, because there's been a higher incidence of people, killing themselves as well, which is sad, but it's true in the reality of the COVID. So that's why I have to hop off the call because I have another presentation, and hopefully I'll be able to stay on all next week. But, if anyone, if I need anything, let me know. And just remember, mental health is everything right now. That's why I'm focusing more on mental and physical health for people. They are kind of like cousins, brothers and sisters or whatever. And I'm glad that you guys are having this conversation and inviting me out. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Coach Melody. No, that's really great. input, because and how it connects is obviously it's important that we're taking care of ourselves, but I love that like mental health is so important for all of us, and recognizing the role that we can play in our clients' mental health just by simply reaching out and connecting and having that conversation is just incredibly powerful. And that's awesome.
Thank you.
Anybody else just like struggling with anything? I mean, I'll be transparent about my own struggle. And I just wrote myself here a little note I'm going to tape on my monitor. Is I think that not being able to do the coffees, lunches, happy hours, I've really struggled with, because I'm a people person and I'm an extrovert and I'm a hugger, and I like those interactions. Well, yes, if I'm thinking about it practically, I don't have to travel anywhere. So I should have more availability in the day to connect with people digitally. I think my mind doesn't go there because I'm like pissed about it. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like a blockage almost in my own mind that like I don't like the fact that I can't do coffees, lunches, and happy hours, or networking and getting together. I mean, I'm used to seeing Jeff at a BAMSL event at least once a quarter, you know, and I don't have that anymore. Like that's really hard for me. And I think like I've been struggling with filling my days. Even yesterday, I kind of had this epiphany where I've been trying to knock things out that I wasn't getting to before. And that's not a bad thing in and of itself. You know, cleaning out the inbox, getting my CRM like more in ship shape, like those are good things. But I think I've been procrastinating a little bit, or having my own little pity party, if you will, because I can't engage in the way that I want. So I've been doing the tasks that aren't that engagement. And yesterday I was like, okay, I'm going to refocus and reprioritize on my priority needs to be connecting with people. Like even in this environment, stop having my own little pity party. And I just made myself this little note. I'm going to make it fancier, but it says fill my calendar. And I think, I get kind of annoyed by, the LinkedIn emails that we all get every single day from the people wanting to connect with us. But I just kind of had this moment just now as you all were talking of, I should just meet with all the people. All the people that say that they want to talk to me on LinkedIn, I should just do it. Just fill my calendar back to back with a little bit of buffer. What do I have I mean, they're people, right? So if we connect or we don't connect, like that's okay. Or, if they don't have anything to offer me and they think that they do, like that's okay. It's still connecting with people, and you never know what that could lead to. And I mean, I have time. The thing I have now that I didn't have as much of before is time. So I'm kind of being transparent, I guess, about like, I don't have all the answers, but you all have helped me today, this conversation. I think even from last week and this week, and feeling kind of down, because I can't connect in the way that I want, but I'm doing it. I'm committing, and you guys can hold me accountable. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my calendar filled, even if it's with digital communications. So
one of the things I'm trying to do is constantly introduce people. So let me introduce you to somebody that's on the call. Mike, I know you're on mute, but Mike with Farrow Law. Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Chris. And I know several of you on the call, but thank you, Chris, for inviting me. As Chris said, my name is Mike Labazetta. I have my own solo practice called Farrow Law. Farrow is lighthouse in Italian, so I work with small businesses and startups and nonprofits, a lot of the people who are most affected by what's going on right now. And I do transactional work for them, try to stay out of the courtroom, so leave that to other people. But yeah, it's been, business has been okay. I mean, people are cautious right now, but I think what's inspiring is a lot of my clients are taking the time to do the things that we're being told to do, like work on our business plans, learn and develop yourself so that when this ends, we're all stronger and in a better place. So I think that's been really helpful for me, that I can help them with that and work through some of those things. So thank you again for having me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you could be on the call. Mike, I remember whenever we met, was that last summer or last spring? Or how long has it been since we got together? Remember we
It's
went
been a while. Yeah, I think last summer. Yeah.
Northwest Coffee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I'm glad things are still cranking for you. That's awesome. Kim, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'd like to. When you talk about small business, it
Uh-oh.
really makes me think about my husband, and he owns a small business and has kept everybody on payroll. And one of the things he's been doing is his industry, they own a security company, an alarm company, and he's paying employees to take webinars and training at home virtually. So they're still on payroll. They're still getting, the hours they need to get, but all this training always gets pushed to the back, and it never, they never spend time doing it. And that's what they're trying to what they're trying to fill some time with is that very important training. So, you can say, yes, now I'm trained on the HP 21 system or whatever it is. But you might think about that for those of you who work with small businesses, is maybe that's something they can encourage their employees to get going on, is some training that's available digitally that maybe they weren't doing before.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
I would agree with you, Jamie. I don't think I could have put it any better. I'm frustrated because I get out a lot. I do a lot of volunteer work and I travel quite a bit. And, I try to make sure I have something scheduled every day, but yeah, the Zoom meetings are don't entirely do it for me. And, so, I'm looking at it my week like I normally would do, but looking at it with a little different eye in terms of, do I have some interactions scheduled and some interactions that, that I will enjoy, whether it's with a client or with a group or something like that. But, and the other thing that came to me earlier this week is that, our perception of time has changed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it bothers us. It bothers many of us, particularly because most of us, doing what we do here, we're very, we're goal and schedule oriented, and it just kind of eats at you. But we have that social aspect too. So, yeah, I share your frustration with that.
Yeah.
Randy, I'll add to that. So I had a day, today is Thursday, right? Yes. Okay. I had a day on Tuesday that really embodies what you just said. I mean, I haven't left the house in like 9 days except to go for a walk, not to the grocery store, nothing. And I couldn't quite put my finger on like, what is it that is making this so hard? And I came up with this analogy that for me, while I love the flexibility of working remotely, I've built a firm where everything is in the cloud, so we can do that. Working full-time remotely has started to feel like every day I wake up and I'm pushing a boulder up a mountain just to get all my work done. And I'm persistent. I got a lot of grit and a lot of resilience, so I'm going to make it happen. But I mean, it's just killing me to start the day and think, okay, which couch am I going to sit on today? Is it going to be the blue one or the brown one? Or, we still have someone in my office right now because we're technically open. And I just made the decision that starting next week, I'm going to go into the office for a couple hours every day. I'm going to be really safe about it. I'm going to, stay 6 feet away from the other person that's in my office, but I need to build a little more structure into my life. And I've been unsuccessful at doing that from home. My workday starts at 5:30 in the morning when I wake up because I don't have, the structure of having to get the kids ready for school. And when it ends at 3, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I don't have activities for the kids at night. Or when it ends at 7:30 because I've forgotten that, like, oh crap, I need to make people dinner. I need to eat, the kids need to eat, right? Because we just don't have those same boundaries, right? So I haven't been really successful at building those boundaries at home, but I'm going to take some proactive steps starting next week to try to at least build in a couple hours a day or every couple of days in the office where I know I'm dedicated to just sitting down and working. But yeah, it's been a struggle. I hear you.
Yep.
That's exactly where I got, is, you know, I work out of Sarah's office, so I'm on the 3rd floor by myself. There's one other person here in the building on the 1st floor. And when I started coming into the office consistently, meaning, you know, that work day in the office might be shorter. I actually told my mom a couple weeks ago, never in a million years that I think I'd be going into the office at 9 and like leaving at 4. Like that's like not like my normal life, right? But there's something about being here consistently that really helped me. Even if it's a shortened day or a half day, it's like it's focused, there's structure around it. And I feel more engaged too than when I am at home and need to be doing a certain thing, like getting dinner ready or whatever. And at first I had to like overcome that. Like I felt guilty about coming into the office in the very beginning. So Sarah, I'll tell you that. Don't feel guilty. At first I felt kind of guilty, like, you know, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing? And am I doing enough for my family? If my husband's at home managing the school thing, like, and at some point I was like, I told my husband, I was like, I just don't want you to feel like you're the one who's managing everything with the kids in the school. And I want you to feel like I'm supporting that or helping that. And finally, at one point, I really appreciated him saying, you know what, like you being at the office and working is supporting us more than you trying to be here. And like, he's a teacher, so it is help. Like he has some more availability than I do to be able to help out with that. So I'm very grateful. But that did really help me a lot for anyone else who might be in that situation too. So, well, cool. Let's wrap up here, unless there's anything obviously anybody else wanted to share, but with some funnies, limericks, jokes, memes, anyone that has anything good to share. I do have one thing, but anybody else have anything they want to like close us out with? I have one appropriate one and one maybe inappropriate. So I'll stop the recording when I show the inappropriate one. Because I have recording control.
That's good.
All right, here, I'll show you this funny one real quick. If anybody else wants to pull anything up, let me know. Hold on. I just thought this was cute given the people on the call today. Can you see it? Wait, hold on. Do you guys see this little couples quarantined together for weeks?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Divorce lawyers.
Scroll
it?
down. Oh, there we go.
That's when the big bucks start rolling in.
That's awesome.
I thought that was pretty funny because we've talked about that with our clients, and it's like you hate to like feel like you're capitalizing on people's challenging times or misfortunes for sure, but all of the divorce lawyers that are freaking out right now are comforted by other countries' patterns of family law that are a little ahead of us in this pandemic.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. Anybody else have anything they wanted to share, joke, anything before I stop the recording? It's so funny. I can't not share it with you guys. So.